When I first arrived in Guanabara Bay as a humble missionary, I despaired at the savages. They knew no God, lived in sin, and covered their bodies with unsightly tattoos. Even nature herself seemed appalled by their immorality. Hundreds of fish regularly washed ashore along the rivers, permeating the air with their rancid smell as they rotted under the sun. After a few months in this godless place, I had learned the native language well enough to begin spreading the faith through the jungle. This is where I met Arariboia, the chief of the Maracajá. I initially believed all Tupi to be the same. However, as I spent time with the chieftain over the years, I realized my judgment had been made in haste. Despite being a heathen, Arariboia was a man of honor. He had a genuine interest in the good book and would go to great lengths to protect his tribe. The Tupi were divided into countless factions with leaders both noble and wicked, much like the feuding kings of Europe. Arariboia's nemesis was a stubborn warrior named Cunhambebe. His tribe fought the Portuguese at every turn and hated anyone who collaborated with them. Their rigid defiance earned them the moniker, the Old Ones. In contrast, Arariboia traded with the settlers. While he could not deny the strength of his rival, he believed Cunhambebe was on a fool's errand. The arrival of the Portuguese had changed everything, and the Maracajá stood to gain by treating them as partners rather than enemies. The Europeans brought valuable knowledge and goods. Arariboia envisioned the future where his people and the Portuguese coexisted and thrived in peace, learning from each other's cultures instead of perishing in futile conflicts. This made the Maracajá a target for relentless raids by Cunhambebe. Each attack was devastating, but Arariboia fiercely defended his people. Whispers in the wind spoke of a grand scheme by Cunhambebe, no mere raid, but an invasion to annihilate the Maracajá once and for all. Arariboia paid no heed to these murmurs, and when the first attackers were spotted, it seemed just like another raid. As before, Arariboia was prepared to fight tooth and nail for his people's home on the island, and to drive off these pesky raiders.
Cunhambebe insults us with his pitiful raids. We will teach him that the Maracajá bow to no one! Chase them off the island, men!
Even as you bleed your men to death here, my warriors already control the south side of the island. Your day of reckoning is here, traitor!
The enemy has bypassed our defenses! We are under attack from every direction!
Cunhambebe is threatening to burn my village to the ground. We cannot let it happen! Defend yourselves with everything you have!
The rumors were true.
Cunhambebe is sending everything he has against us. We must evacuate our people to the northeast, where his forces have yet to penetrate. Protect the refugees at all costs!
Help! Cunhambebe's clubs are bearing down on us! Is this the end?
A first batch of refugees has arrived from the southwest. We must protect them as they travel to safety, or our people will be doomed. We have rescued all the refugees we could. Hurry to the shore! We may not see our homes again for a long time, but one day we will take back what is ours.
Despite his decades of experience, Arariboia made the mistake of a young warrior by vastly underestimating his enemy. Instead of averting the crisis, he had led his people deeper into it. Skulking through the jungle, bitter and disappointed, he fantasized about shooting a poisoned arrow straight through Cunhambebe's heart. Still, he knew that revenge would have to wait. The survival of his tribe was all that mattered now. They had to escape before Cunhambebe caught up to them. As he led his men towards the edge of the island, Arariboia swore that this would not be the last time they saw their home. Arariboia had not chosen this corner of the island as a refuge on a whim. There was a Portuguese trading post here, one he and his father had often visited in his youth. They offered fine metal tools for trade and, perhaps, a safe haven for his tribe. If only he had something to trade for his people's freedom. But what could he offer? Was it even wise to bargain with these powerful foreigners from a position of weakness? As Kunambebe's shouts of "Traitor!" echoed in his ears, his desperation threatened to overwhelm him. He pushed his doubts aside as the trading post came into view between the trees. If his own people deemed him a traitor, so be it. Better that they stay alive and angry than dead and silent.
Our only hope for survival is to reach the Portuguese trading post. Hurry! And watch out for Kunambebe's warriors!
There is no escape, Arariboia! You can never outrun my hatred!
I come to you on bended knee, Governor General. Our peoples have always been friendly, and now we are threatened with extermination by our enemies. You are our only hope.
I have not forgotten your amiable conduct with us, Arariboia. Take these transport ships and choose one of the locations marked on this map. They will serve as a temporary shelter. Sail like the devil!
You truly are a coward beyond compare! I pity those who have bound themselves to your sinking canoe!
I have led my people to disaster. But all I can do now is focus on surviving. Let us build a new home here, on the mainland.
Caramba! If I knew the jungle would be crawling with hostiles, I would have brought more bullets! Ready the sails! We must abandon this trading post!
Your pasty saviors turned tail and ran at the first sight of my army! Who's the fool now, Arariboia?
This will be our base of operations, until we can reclaim our home from Kunambebe. Let us destroy his stronghold in the area and prove that the Maracajá are still a force to be reckoned with.
You have a strategic mind, Arariboia.
When I catch you, I will feed you piece by piece to the snakes, you miserable traitor!
I am not proud of seeking refuge with the Portuguese, but one cannot survive on pride alone. After today, my people have a future once more.
With bravery and skill, and not a little help from the Portuguese cannons, the Maracajá had survived. With their foothold secured, Arariboia drew up plans to strike back at Kunambebe. Yet he knew he couldn't do it alone. The unlikely alliance with Mãe de Sá had been a success. The Pale Commander had fought viciously, tipping the scales in Arariboia's favor. Without him and his ships, the Maracajá would have been like the stranded fish rotting on the shores of Guanabara Bay. Could de Sá be trusted? For now at least, he seemed to be a man of his word. A warrior in hard metal and soft silk, rather than feathers and tattoos, but a warrior nonetheless. A few days after their victory, de Sá invited him to a formal dinner. Stepping into the fort's mess hall felt like entering a strange new world. Everything was foreign, from the spiced dishes and silver plates to the little spits they used to pick up their food. A new fashion even amongst the Portuguese, the Sa told him. Yet the conversation flowed pleasantly. My translator Anchieta tells me you have a proposal, said the Sa, pausing for me to relay his words in Tupi. But just as Arariboia was about to reply, a messenger bursts into the hall. Governor General, our men have sighted French ships in the bay. The Sa dropped his fork. How many cannons? When the answer came, the foreigner went even paler than he already was. The French? Who are they? Arariboia asked. The Sa replied in hushed tones. They are to us what Kunambebe is to you. Arariboia had assumed all Europeans were the same, but the arrival of the French made him realize his error. They had come to wrest control of the coast from the Portuguese no matter the cost, or so their commander boasted. Nicolas Duron was the very caricature of the adventurous European. He spoke in melodies, and his gleaming rapier danced through the air with each dramatic gesture. Arariboia had known many such men, all bark, no bite. Don't let his theatrics fool you, the Sa warned him. Duron is a dangerous man. He has fought the Ottomans across Europe and Africa, and now he has come to establish a colony he calls France Antarctique. The names of these distant peoples and places meant little to Arariboia, but the Sa's concerned look spoke volumes. Duron and the French were an immediate threat. That makes my plan even more urgent, Arariboia said. He presented his proposal with such speed and conviction that I found myself scrambling to keep up with the translation. The Maracajá and the Portuguese each faced an enemy intent on their destruction. Divided, they would both lose, but together, they could weather the storm. A long-term alliance, a partnership, if you will, between the Portuguese and the Maracajá. That is my proposal. The Governor General eyed him with an expression that was impossible to read. Perhaps in that moment he saw Arariboia's true character. This was not a man content to be a mere tool. He was a true leader, a general, a visionary, an equal. Then a partnership it will be, came his reply. Your tribe will help rid these Frenchmen from my doorstep, and in return, I will lend you my full support against Kunambebe. From this day forth, the Portuguese and the Maracajá's fates are intertwined. The alliance was sealed with a handshake. Yet, the waves of fate rarely allow for smooth sailing.
You call this untamed jungle a colony de ça? Bonté divine! Since you're clearly not using it, I will relieve you of your burden. From this day on, this land shall be known as France Antarctique!
Durand is as pompous as a peacock, but he's no fool. We must drive him off the beach before he can dig in, or we may never be rid of him.
Do you think I would just land without a plan, de ça? While you were busy courting the Maracajá losers, I found myself a new friend in their conqueror. Look behind you!
When you stooped to ally with the European, you gave me no choice but to do the same. Now let us see who picked the strongest bearded fool!
Nossa Senhora! We do not have the manpower to withstand this attack. Fall back and regroup! Apologies for abandoning you in such a rush, but I had no choice. Now, I'm on my way with a greater army. If you can recapture my fort, we can use it as a base for driving Durand into the sea.
You call that a victory? I was merely testing you, de ça. And now I know what your weaknesses are. We will meet again. Soon.
Fine. Take the fort. A real warrior has no need for walls. Go and make your master happy, you weakling.
France lost its greatest court chester when you left, Durand! This is a great victory for us both, Arariboia. The clouds are scattering, and the future looks bright again. Ha!
France Antarctique, Mainsa laughed as he toasted Arariboia at their shared celebration. Only a flamboyant Frenchman would come up with such a name. Arariboia chuckled, even though he didn't fully understand Desa's boasting. They had won a small but significant battle, and their alliance had passed its first major test. That was reason enough to celebrate. Ultimate victory was far from certain, though. The pact between Duran and Kunambebe had caught them off guard, and their combined strength remained a frightening prospect. Still, Arariboia and Mainsa had something their enemies lacked: trust. Duran would abandon his native allies in a heartbeat if it served his purposes. Meanwhile, Kunambebe despised all Europeans, even if he had stooped to using one to fight another. It was a weakness Arariboia intended to exploit. As we Portuguese like to say, one swallow does not make a summer. A toast to our continued success. The swashbuckling Duran was a loose cannon, and worse, he was armed with enough gunpowder to blow the Portuguese galleons to smithereens. Desa and Arariboia would have to deal with him before they could take on Kunambebe. The Frenchman had not been idle, however. After his defeat on the coast, he had relocated to a small, defensible island. There, he began constructing a formidable stone fortress he called Fort Coligny. Once his cannons were installed, the fort would be nearly impregnable. Arariboia grew restless. The longer we wait, the more prepared our enemies will be. We should strike as soon as possible. If we surprise them, we can dictate the pace of the battle. They readied their men for an attack that very night.
The gunpowder I planted will go off at any moment. Keep quiet and stay vigilant. Once the thunder sounds, we attack.
The way to the fort is open! Charge and give them hell!
We have those fools trapped like rats in a cage! Blow them back to hell!
Durand is blowing us to pieces! Abandon the siege! We must regroup or we will never be able to take this fort! Fort Coligny, Durand's pride and joy, lies in ashes. This is a great victory. I could not have done it without you, Arariboia.
You can keep these burned out husks if you like, Desa. Give them to your native friend. I hear he's still looking for a roof over his head.
It was hard to see today's accomplishments as a victory. Fort Coligny lay in ruins, and Kunambebe's warriors had been driven back, but at a terrible cost. All the Portuguese cannon ships had been sunk. His allies' greatest advantage, their firepower, was now lost. Desa had called it a Pyrrhic victory, but Arariboia was too occupied by his gloomy thoughts to ask what that meant. Had he been a fool to ally with the Portuguese? He could have led his tribe into the jungle after they lost their home. Instead, they were fighting and dying for the foreigners in a war that wasn't even theirs. Kunambebe's accusation of traitor echoed in his mind, and for the first time, he began to believe it. "Reinforcements are on their way from Portugal," Desa told him as they considered their options. "I do not know when they will arrive, All we can do is wait. When you are caught between the devil and the deep blue sea, there is no escape. When it rains, it pours. And it was certainly pouring for Arariboia and Sa. The relentless Duron had already regrouped at a new fort. Nearby, Kunambebe's army was gathering in greater numbers than ever before. Their target was the crown jewel of the Portuguese colonies, the burgeoning town of Rio de Janeiro. Capturing Rio would spell disaster for both Portuguese and Maracajá. It was all coming to a head. If Mãe de Sá was forced to surrender, Arariboia's tribe would not survive. Despite Arariboia's gloom, it was nothing compared to the Sá, who suddenly appeared much paler and older. We have no cannons, few weapons, and fewer men. Our only advantage is the one we create, so let us make one. On days like these, I wish I had your resilience, the Sá replied. I will follow your lead, Chief Arariboia. Bring us our final victory.
Duron has nearly captured Rio de Janeiro. While de Sá strikes back at the French, we must ambush Kunhembebe and take over his base near the city. Take heart, my warriors. Today we will save the Maracajá.
Se peñara.
The enemy runs away like a scared jungle cat. Let us use this moment to replenish our arrows. Kunhembebe will be back as soon as he has licked his wounds, and we need to be prepared.
Fall back! You may have thrown me off balance, de Sá, but just you wait. Soon, I will unleash the full force of my army.
Rio is ours once more. Our position in this bay is secure so long as the city stands. Reinforcements are on their way from Portugal. We must hold on until they arrive. Then we shall finally defeat our enemies.
When my cannon ships are done with Rio, your pitiful village will be nothing but a smoldering ruin.
I have no ships to patrol the shore with until reinforcements arrive. Send your canoes and protect Rio de Janeiro.
Every last Maracajá will fall to my new fire sticks. When I am done with them, I will carve your traitorous heart from your body.
Sails on the horizon! The reinforcements are here! Now, let us go on the offensive and repay our enemies in kind. The reinforcements brought plenty of guns and ammunition from Europe. Take these muskets and give them to your best marksman, Arariboia. I'm sure you can put them to good use.
The protector of the Tupi is humiliated, while the traitor is rewarded for his treason. I should have killed you when I had the chance, Arariboia. Then I could have let the Europeans fight it out before crushing them both!
There is no glory to be found in a farce like this! To hell with you all! And to hell with this barbarian continent!
My warriors, rejoice! With our enemies vanquished, we can at last return to our homeland. This is a glorious day for the Maracajá.
The alliance between Arariboia and Mãe de Sá, which once seemed so fragile, had proven to be as resilient as Brazil would. Not one to linger on his failures, Nicolas Duron picked up the pieces of his broken expedition. As he set sail for new horizons, he denounced his former ally. If only I had allied with a man like Arariboia and not this Kunhembebe, this anchor around my neck, then everything would have been different. Kunambebe, for his part, fled into the jungle as soon as the tide turned. Arariboia did not pursue him. The humiliation of his nemesis and the return of his people to their home was vengeance enough. Mãe de Sá praised Arariboia's efforts to the Portuguese king, who rewarded the chieftain by knighting him for his services. The Maracajá received written guarantees that their homeland would forever be theirs. In gratitude, Arariboia adopted the faith of his allies. When he laid down his bow for the final time, Arariboia felt a profound sense of relief. He had saved his people from destruction. After so many years in exile, they could finally rest and rebuild, knowing that their children would grow up in peace on the island they called home.